All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geeky Misfit podcast. I am your host, the Geeky Misfit himself, Jalen Coleman. And our guest today, I am super excited to speak to. He is a living legend. You've seen him literally everywhere, such as shows like HBO's The Wire and Treme. You've seen him in Spike Lee's Malcolm X. We all remember him as Michael in Waiting to Excel. He made us laugh in Brown Sugar and Fighting Temptations. He went on to do Selma with Ava DuVernay, Horrible Bosses, Suits. You can see him recently stealing scenes in Power, Raising Kanan, and now you can catch him still stealing scenes in CBS's new show, Elsbeth. Ladies and gentlemen, Wendell Pierce.
Hello, thank you very much. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Thank you, thank you. Again, it's an honor to be speaking to you, man. Again, big fan of your work, have been for
Thank you.
years. Out of all those roles that I've just listed and the many that I haven't listed, if you're walking down the street and somebody stops you, which role is the one that they're most likely going to mention?
You know, it's really interesting. I always, now that things are streaming
Mhm.
at different times,
Yeah.
I can always tell when something's up and running.
Yeah.
I first started noticing this resurgence that was happening with Suits on streaming service. Last year when I was like, all these people were stopping me and saying, "Oh, would love me on Suits," and I was like, that ended 7 years ago,
Yeah.
and so it was really weird. But the first line of my obituary is going to be, Wendell Pierce from as Bunk on The
Yeah.
Wire.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the iconic role that I'm going to be remembered for.
Yeah.
But also different people stop me for different things. I did a little movie years ago that people stop me on the street and they go, "Hey man, I really liked you in Hackers." And I'm
Okay.
like, right? And this Hackers movie, and it's usually the people who like it
Yeah.
are hackers. That's why
Yeah.
they're. I say you told on yourself. I know when
Yeah.
you go home and throw on your computer. It's a hackers cult movie.
Right.
So I have a multitude of different things. That's what I like, but Monk is probably what I'm going to be remembered for the most.
Yeah. And a legendary role. So yeah, I'm sure. You mentioned streaming, and you're with the long career you've had, you were, around before streaming really was around, and you've
Mm-hmm.
now seen the change of it. What's the biggest, I guess, benefit and difference that you've seen from streaming, but from now?
I think the benefit is the fact that you have access to so much material and so much good work that people have done, and going back and seeing stuff that you haven't seen before, you missed. Turning people on to movies that they haven't seen, or were seminal in my growth as an artist. I like to share that with young artists. Always give them a homework assignment of go
Yeah.
and see The Godfather if you've never seen it. See Cool Hand Luke. See Which Way Is Up.
Mm.
All of these movies that people haven't seen, iconic television shows that they haven't seen, Hill Street Blues, and all kinds of different things. And so that's the great thing about streaming.
Yeah.
The only bad thing about streaming is it takes people out of the movie theaters, which
Man.
there's certain films that have to be seen on a big screen.
Mm.
And there's several films, even now I regret that I haven't seen on the big screen. And so I tell people all the time, try to go and see a movie as soon as possible, because the first run of a movie in the theater has now become almost like marketing for
The streaming. Yeah.
run on the streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the pros and cons of it, but I think it's a great thing. The more work, the more the merrier.
Yeah, you mentioned with you saying that, and you mentioned in The Godfather, they just had the 50th, I think, anniversary, and I went to
Yeah.
the theater to watch it because they were rescreening it, and like I never saw it on the big screen, and I was just like, this is an experience that I'm thankful that I got to experience, and I wish
Absolutely.
a lot more people would as well. So
The same thing happened to me. I was actually in Budapest
oh,
when
nice.
it came
Okay.
out, and I had never seen it. The Godfather is one of those movies that if I'm walking through the room and it happens to be on the television, I know where I'm going to be for the next 2 hours. I'm going to
Same,
stop.
yeah. Three
Right,
hours really. Yeah.
right. Especially with the commercial breaks.
Yeah.
But I had never seen it on the big screen either. And what was even more amazing was I was in Budapest, so all the Italian scenes, I saw them without English subtitles.
Oh, that's cool.
They
Okay.
still read, man. They still read beautifully because
Yeah,
it was so great.
that's yeah. That I'm sure that was an incredible experience actually.
Yes, it was
Um,
great. It was great to see Michael and Apollonia fall in love
Yeah.
It didn't matter what language they were speaking, you knew what was happening
Mm.
every minute of the scene.
The power of cinema, really the power of Francis Ford Coppola's directing, because that's the mark
Absolutely.
of a phenomenal movie.
Absolutely.
Going back a bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, Money Pit was your first movie, correct?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
What?
Yeah,
That's well, after
yes,
one, I think that's a great first movie.
it was
um,
that was right out of school, man. I
yeah.
graduated and that was my first job.
Oh wow.
It's funny.
Any
Yeah.
memorable kind of experiences from that?
What was memorable about it was is this. First of all, Tom Hanks has been Tom Hanks from day one, and he was just great, loving,
Yeah.
caring. It's just a great person. Great person. Everything you see in his characters, that's in the character of who he is as a man. It reminds me of Kerry Preston, who I'm doing Elsbeth with here on CBS. She's the same way, a woman who is, just fun-loving and giving, and as quirky as the character is, her humanity is seen through. So
Yeah.
they're both alike. That's what I remember. That Tom Hanks was Tom Hanks from day one, but
Yeah.
also Gordon Willis was the cinematographer, speaking of The
Okay.
Godfather.
Yeah.
So when he worked, it was very serious.
Got you.
Absolute silence on the set.
Yeah.
We were constantly getting in trouble because it's a comedy. So we were being lighthearted. And he would shut up.
Yeah.
You know?
No laughing coming from him.
No laughing.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks was like, oh man, it's kind of hard to do a comedy with Gordon Willis.
Yeah.
So that was the running joke. Who got Gordon Willis for a comedy?
Yeah.
He's the great Godfather cinematographer. But it was those are the two memories. Gordon Willis and Tom Hanks being the kind, giving human that he is.
Yeah. That's dope. What about Elsbeth attracted you to this project?
Two things. The thing that's always going to be memorable is the work that you do,
Mm.
the people that you do it with,
Mm.
right? Besides accolades and wonderful business and all of that, it's the work that you do and the people that you do it with will be the lasting memory. And in this case, it was great writing, great work from Robert King and Michelle King.
Mm.
They created a great story and a great mix. And for the past decade plus, Kerry Preston has created this iconic American television character that is beloved by people. And it was brilliant on their part that they said, let's put her at the forefront of a piece. And so I thought that was great. The other thing was, it's the mixture of comedy and drama. I didn't even know. People make fun of me. Someone made fun of me this morning, actually, who said, you didn't know there was comedy in this? I said, I know. But it starts off every show with this great thriller, right? The audience sees this great crime happen. They actually know who did it. And it's our heroes going to find it out. How are they going to find it out? And so that's the thing that makes it very interesting. I love that. Good work and the people that you do it with. And that's the thing that's always a great barometer by which you choose material.
Got you. And again, over the course of your career, you've got to work with a number of great actors and directors, a few that we've mentioned. What makes a great scene partner and what makes a great director?
A great scene partner is someone who's giving, constantly giving. And actually, what makes the work really ring out for you as an actor, the best thing to do is to be giving yourself. A perfect example of that, you may be too young to remember Colleen Dewhurst. She was in the play, The Moon of a Misbegotten, and a young man was in rehearsal, and it's pages of O'Neill monologue that this woman is going through. Yeah. And they're sitting around a campfire, and she walks around with these pages of monologue. And the kid in the scene, just in rehearsal, just to kind of have life, he kind of had an imaginary canteen of water that he would wash out and then put water in and kind of listen to her and drink from the cup of the canteen, right? And in rehearsal one day, Colleen Dewhurst walked past him, saw him, and then stopped, grabbed his imaginary canteen, and took a drink for herself before she went on and did more of the monologue.
Yeah. Wow.
First of all, that was like one of the highlights of this actor. I can't remember the actor who told me this, the story. He was in the play with her. It was the highlight of his career. He said it was one of my heroes recognized some of the work that I was doing and inserted herself in it. And actually it ended up in the play. She said, what was great about it, she had these pages of monologue. So she said, you worked in a place where I could get a drink of water.
Yeah.
so,
Right.
so they literally had the canteen and water for her. So being given, a great director is someone, there's two great directors who have the ability to make you see their vision, right? And make you consider things you hadn't considered before. In the middle of a fight scene, to say, you realize you're fighting the person that you love the most.
Mm.
And you're in the middle of a fight, so you're thinking anger, destroy them, all of that.
Yeah.
And a great director can say, think of this perspective, and it adds something to it that you hadn't considered before. The other great director is the director who has this vision of a scene, and then you come in, and like that kid, hey, I wanted to add this canteen of water here, right? I have an idea. I see it as this. And they are accepting of it.
Mm.
And then they put it in the piece, right? You seem to be a single file.
Yeah.
Some Like It Hot. Perfect
Oh
example.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
End of the movie. They're in the boat.
Yeah.
Jacqueline says, well, I'm trying to tell you something. Well, that's all right. You may not like it. That's all right. He goes, oh, listen, I'm a man. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
An ad-libbed line.
I never knew that, actually.
Ad-libbed line.
Wow. Okay.
By the actor, the director, who's also the screenwriter, said, I always wondered how I should end this movie. And now it's a classic, right? So he allowed that to be in. That was a long-winded answer.
It was a terrific answer, though, actually, and I learned something that I really didn't know from a movie that I've adored for years. So no, thank you. Before I let you go, the last thing I want to touch on in doing my research for you, I want to tell you something, and then I guess react to it. Your mantra that I've heard you say, which is employment doesn't define you as an actor. With the podcast and with this platform, there's a lot of actors, there's a lot of filmmakers, up and coming that watch this and try to get tidbits and advice. Why is that your mantra, and what made it your mantra?
I think it's pretty clear when it comes to the downside of it. If you're unemployed, keeping your spirit up, knowing that you're going to get a job, it'll be okay. You just do a good work. The other thing is to when you have a job and it's not going well, and someone says, it's brilliant,
Yeah.
it's absolutely wonderful, and you say, well, no, it's not. You have to be truthful to yourself. Everyone else, it'll be like the Emperor's New Clothes. Everyone loves it. You love what you're doing, but you have to be honest to yourself and say, I can do better work. I can do better. Mm-hmm. And so employment, whether you're not getting it and you're unemployed, and employment, when you are employed, does not define you as an artist, because you have to be the true measure of, am I doing good work? Mm-hmm. Can I do better? And that's the most important thing. And it doesn't matter where you do the good work. The benefit will show itself wherever. I did a film called Burning Cane. It was a little student film.
Yeah.
A kid from New Orleans Center for Creative Arts, where I went to school, asked me to come back and do it. I did it in a weekend and committed fully as if it was a studio film. I actually thought it was a short, ended up a feature.
Oh, wow.
And did it in a weekend, my part, and then it ended up winning Tribeca Film Festival.
Wow.
And the youngest director to ever win and win director, and it won me my first award as an actor.
There we go.
At the Tribeca Film Festival. So it doesn't matter where you do the work. Employment doesn't define you as an actor, because I actually didn't get paid for that film.
Yeah.
Because, I was just doing it for the work.
Yeah, and something obviously came from it. So
Yeah, great benefit came from it. The world has seen it now.
A very, very, very final thing to touch on because my girlfriend will kill me. She's a Twilight fan. Wanted to mention Twilight. If your experience on there, if anything memorable.
Twilight was great. It was unexpected. Recently you mentioned Raising Canaan. How I'm on that. It was something unexpected. I met the showrunner. We were talking about the show. He asked if I would even consider being on it. I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
We talked about the roles and how now something has come of it, which one of the characters that have now become beloved to me, which snaps. Really interesting and great work on Raising Canaan and that character. Totally, at the same time, complete opposite of what I'm doing on Elsbeth, which is great, right? It just shows it gives me an opportunity to show the diversity.
The range,
and the range. At the same time, cops and robbers, literally cops and robbers. But there are times where my inquisitiveness can get me in trouble, right? My inquisitiveness as an artist, trying to do diverse roles, right? Talking about the show with a showrunner and getting a role. And I'm on the set of Twilight, and I played someone who forges a passport so she can travel.
Right.
And in the middle of it, as we're setting up, I said, it's really interesting. I looked at this scene and all. Isn't she at this point in the story, isn't she a vampire now and a shapeshifter? She has all the powers now of one of the kids, right? And I said, yeah. And so can't she just turn into a wolf and just go across the mountain to the other country? Why does she need a passport?
Right.
Silence on the set. I had exposed a hole in the script that no one had realized.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. I said, Wendell, how to lose a job in 5 minutes.
Wow.
The entire set went, he's right, And then thankfully Billy Condon said, let's just shoot the scene. And
we'll figure it out.
Keep it. And they kept it in the movie. But now, I'm a part of the gaff squad, I guess.
Yeah. That's really cool. It was
now you have to go and look at their movie and say, well, yeah, I actually forged. That's my running joke. I guess I shouldn't say this. That's my running joke with the superhero movies, right? They have all the powers in the world, but they always got to run in the battle.
And it takes 2.5 hours to save the world when it's like, shouldn't this be like pretty easy for you to do if you're if you're Superman or something? Yeah.
Like, why are you running? I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's fun too. You suspend your belief.
Absolutely.
You have all the powers in the world, but we're gonna have a sword fight.
I can end this in 3 seconds, but for the sake of being dramatic, I'm gonna take my time.
That's me. That's my tidbit from Twilight. I talked myself out of a job almost.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't, and I'm excited to. I'm thankful that I got to speak with you, man. I'm excited to check you out in Elsbeth. Everyone, check it out. CBS. Thank you so much for your time.
Definitely, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care.